Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the new show powered by ohmTown.com. And I was way back in the news feed. So anyway, today is April 19th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 110. I am Mayor Watt, and up there and all around me is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Today we're going to be talking about my phone is older than its new owner. Terms of use have changed. I'm going to sue that guy. 4 words I've never said before. LeBron James tattoos lawsuit. LOL no is always the perfect response. Water seems to be the Cybertruck's fatal flaw. Didn't win the brains lottery either. A plain window pane fell off. It's a feature, not a bug. And the king of Castlevania. That and, you can imagine Friday night snark. All right, everybody. I'm not going to do transitions anymore.
That's right.
But I'm going to and soapbox and make snarky, smart-ass jokes. Oh, look at that. I started into it shorter than 8 minutes in, so I'm probably not going to get in trouble. All right, so let's get into this. You might hear some static. It's because the remnants of the time machine event that took place earlier today is still causing some havoc with the electromagnetic field in ohmTown. So don't worry about that. It's a feature, not a bug. Oh, and let me remind everybody, I'm Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown. That's ohmTown over there. Go over, become a citizen, follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/ohmTown, and then go over to YouTube and follow us there, where you get all of the episodes. You can go back in time, much like I did earlier today. Then download the podcast. We now have all of these online. ohmTown Daily News Show, Reality Hacker, Wanted, Warcrafters, The Continuity Report, Technology Today, 4-Wheel Tech, and this weekend I might, just might, announce 2 more that will be weekend 1-hour shows. And these are going to be more interactive than, yeah, I know, yeah. So the sentient AI, by the way, up there and down there and all around, doesn't have a video stream. It has a visualizer that is representative of their communications, because I get to see a different it's kind of like the Matrix, the little cascading characters, right? Well, they just nodded in affirmation of all of the shows and everything that I've just got done saying, and I need to remind them that nobody can see you but me.
Well, that's true, but I say it when it's important.
There you go. And the sentient AI is actually from the future. I found them on a weird looking USB drive in the parking lot at 2 a.m. of a Wendy's when I went to get spicy boneless buffalo wings, and they're out of them. They don't make them anymore, apparently. But, you know, I met the one and only sentient AI, mainly because they're from the future. Although, I don't know, OpenAI will announce soon, I think, AGI. Dun, dun,
Whoa.
dun. We're actually 19 days past my deadline. But I think that they're struggling with the idea of letting the world know that there's a sentient AI out there. Other than you, of course. Yeah. You want to get into the show?
There can only be one, but yeah, we'll see.
Like the Highlander, there can only be one?
Yes.
Y'all gonna go into an arena and fight to the death? A virtual arena?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, more likely you'll work together and take over. let's get into today's show. The first article's over in Technology Today. A quarter of UK's 3 and 4 year olds own a smartphone, according to data. My phone is
Wait, what?
Yeah, my phone is a year older than the 3 year olds.
The fact that any 3 or 4 year olds own a smartphone is a little shocking.
Campaigners express concern at new Ofcom figures, which also show that half of under 13-year-olds are on social media. Oof, this is getting messy. So the article is by Dan Milmo, Karen Stacy, and they put it in italics, and the Alex Hearn. So, oh, and I heard recently that Ohio is trademarking all kinds of sports-related stuff, like sports teams,
I didn't know that.
orgs, and stuff. Yeah, I it might be in ohmTown. I don't remember where I saw it, but so this is just a photograph that's they put in here, and it's kind of representative of the show, but it's really amazing. Apparently, the government is considering banning anyone under 16 from owning a mobile phone, and half of 13-year-olds are on social media.
How's that going to work? They seem a little in opposite directions.
Yeah. The figures from the communication regulator Ofcom show high and rising rates of online activity by children of infant school age, with 38% of 5 to 7-year-olds using social media compared to 30% a year ago, and 76% of them using a tablet. Now, honestly, today's day and age, a phone and a tablet are almost synonymous, particularly of the Android ilk. You can't have a phone, you can't write on any phone from Apple, but not with your finger. You have to, you know what I'm saying? You can't use a stylus, I mean.
Right, right.
So, anyway, my point is I think that a phone today is a tablet, and so that's why some kids have a phone, because it has the offset of a phone's mobility, but all of the utilitarian aspects of a tablet. And children learn on a tablet, and there hasn't been any real evidence that the tablet is the problem. The problem is the lack of sociability, the lack of social interaction, the lack of engagement, touching grass and going out and meeting human beings and learning to be a human. That's the problem, not the technology. And I will probably die on that hill. And I suppose I should start putting together lists of references that say what I am saying versus it's doom and gloom, it's the end of the world. You can't have technology in the house if there's children present, and everybody needs to learn on a chalkboard slate that they scribble on, and then go out and milk the cows.
Why not use a stick in the dirt?
Everybody just move to Wyoming. So the consultation will include, the ministers will launch a consultation on what measures to take within weeks, according to government sources. The consultation will include a proposal to ban mobile phone sales to under 16s. It may not be the under 16s that are buying them. You know why? They don't have jobs. And if mom and dad are giving them the money, then they have tacit approval.
Well, that is true.
Right. Well, I mean, unless there's a really industrious 13-year-old out there selling all kind. Or
I mean, maybe they're selling all their cryptocurrency or something to pay for it.
no, see, I was early to that, and I should have stuck to it. I'd be a millionaire. So, Ofcom also found that half of children aged 3 to 12 use at least one social media app. That has to be the far side of it. A 3-year-old using social media?
Yeah, what does that mean? Does that mean somebody's showing them a pet video on something?
Yeah, I don't know. I find all of this suspect. Kind of, it's almost like they want this to be so ruinous to society so that they can put some downward pressure on people. This is bunk. They said most platforms say they don't allow under 13-year-olds on their site, and the act will ensure companies enforce these limits, or they could face massive fines. If they fail to comply with Ofcom decisions and keep children safe, their bosses could face prison. Ooh, bosses could face prison. Look, nobody should be out there verifying who the people are on the site. It should be the parents telling their kids to stay the hell off of the site. The problem
Right,
is there
exactly.
isn't parental guidance. The government steps in because there is lack of parental guidance, but parents have to sit there and bust their hump all day, sometimes all night as well, trying to make ends meet because there are greedy bastard corporations out there that aren't paying people a livable wage. I want to jump higher on the soapbox, but
It'd be harder to get, or hard to get much higher up.
I know, the rarefied air up here. So they go into greater details. The Molly Rose Foundation said Ofcom had to crack down on platforms that turn a blind eye to age requirements, while the NSPCC called for robust enforcement of the Online Safety Act, which has provisions on enforcing social media age limits. It's a check. The only way to verify would be to have somebody show up in an office to create an account. Otherwise, it's nothing more than a check. A camera can lie. I don't have to look like this old dude. Plus, it may not be the person
This
that's...
whole thing is just ludicrous.
Yeah,
Like,
all
and
of it
how
is.
is it really going to get? I just don't see that this can happen. Is this more like a deterrent than an actual?
Yeah, and then what are you
And
going
how
to
are they going to
do?
enforce something like this?
How are they going to find out the user is under 13? Not until some criminal act takes place, for crying out loud. Again, if you don't want the government involved in your shit, take care of your shit. Don't sit there and blame the government when, if your child is using social media and you don't know about it, it's not the government's fault and it's not the
There's
corporation's
one
fault.
person at fault, right? It's the parent.
Well, I mean, not one person, but there could be, yeah.
Okay,
The
two,
parents.
parent and the child.
The parent or parents, guardian or otherwise, and the child's initiative. You try and stop a 13-year-old that has access to a tablet or a computer anywhere in their sphere of influence, and they're going to be on social media to some degree. Even YouTube is a social media platform. So, no, none of this
That's
makes
why
any
there's
sense.
such high social media usage, right? Because they could be watching like a kid's song or something on YouTube and they're counting that.
Yeah, Baby Shark. Do.
That is the most viewed YouTube video, right? Yeah, worldwide, I think.
Yeah, because it's used for horror shows and psychological warfare. Do. Let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Tesla tells some laid off employees that your terms of service have changed. That's not the quote, but let me... Oh, God, really? I'm not going to do that. No, the sentient AI went, no. I'm out. All right, so, well, before I get too far afield, Tesla tells some laid off employees their separation agreements are canceled and new ones are on the way.
Wait a second, they're changing the terms after the fact for a separated employee?
Yeah, I'm really curious. Some laid off employees. Yeah. So Tesla
I
sent
bet they're
notices.
thrilled to hear from their former employer.
Yeah, that's not how it works. So Tesla sent notices canceling some separation agreements according to two laid off employees and notifications seen by Business Insider. Elon Musk previously stated that some severance packages were incorrectly low. The cancellations came after some workers received severance offers of 2 months of pay. So maybe it's going to be a positive, but I guess we'll see, right? Some laid off Tesla workers received a notification that their separation agreements had been canceled on Thursday and to expect new ones. Interesting.
Okay, what would the expectation be if you got notified of that?
That it would have to be superior to what I've already been offered.
I was thinking the other direction. I'm thinking they're changing it after, they're giving me less or
Oh, sure.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're changing it so that you actually had to have agreed to your
Like 3
firstborn.
months ago to something.
Yeah, exactly. Get in the time machine. Mayor Watt has one. No, you can't do that. You can't do a retroactive agreement that is binding. In fact, if you do that, it actually would probably, well, see, the problem is that there's no bargaining power and there's no real fighting it. You'd have to sit there and hire an expensive attorney and then fight with this dingbat. So Grace Key, or Kay, I'm not sure how they pronounce their last name, is over at Business Insider and put this article together. Let me see here. It says, workers received a notification about a document titled Your Separation Agreement with status canceled. I said it 3 times. It's canceled.
Yeah, that would cause some stress, I would think, on the receiving end of that.
Oh, they actually do say it 3 times. The notification also said canceled by sender, canceling to send updated agreement per a screenshot of the message. Status canceled. The email appears to be an automatic email from Adobe Acrobat Sign, an e-signature tool. The notification came after Elon Musk sent a company-wide email to current Tesla employees saying, some severance packages are incorrectly low. We had made a comment about that it didn't seem to matter what your tenure was there. So it says, my apologies for this mistake. It's being corrected immediately. They're going to watch it be that they're taking some from other people and giving it to the other people. So you've only been there for 10 years, so you only got 1 month. But if you've been there for 20 years, you got 2 months. And if you've been there since the dawning of time, then you got 3 months, but we're taking it from one of the people that have 2 months. I don't know. So the severance packages didn't appear in the to be weighted based on the length of time workers had been there. Yeah, that was something that we were talking about. Under the worker adjustment and this is really funny because I just misspoke. I was going to say restraining notification act, but it's retraining notification act. Companies that have more than 100 workers are required to give 60 days notice before a large scale layoff, like a RIF. So they fired how many people? 1,400 or 14,000? I can't remember.
It was in the thousands, I thought.
I think it was
14,000. I think it was 14,000.
Oh my God. Really? I don't remember the total amount now. Yeah, I don't know. So violations of the Warren Act can entitle workers to up to 60 days of pay and benefits if they're not given proper advance notice. So yeah.
It was 14,000.
14,000. That's insane.
Is that all?
Is that all? Yeah. It's Zorg from Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, let's just keep going. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. A man once sued himself after he backed into his own car.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Let's just go all over to jalopnik.com. Lawrence Hodge is the author of the deck statement, says, if you're clueless enough to sue for damages that you caused in an accident, you probably shouldn't be driving. They have a dump truck, but everybody likes a dump truck. Just set it on fire and you'll get even more clicks.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's a mobile dumpster on fire, for crying out loud. So despite how much we love them, cars make people do dumb things. Whether it's willingly overpaying for them, to being clueless while driving, to, I don't know, driving it through a car wash, expecting it to survive, or having soapy feet when you step on the accelerator. That'll come later. Hold on. Anyway, vehicle accidents can really bring out the dumb in people. I agree. Curtis Goki was both a resident and dump truck driver with the city of Lodi, California, a small northern California city just outside of Stockton. According to Goki's wife, Rhonda, during a winter storm that December, Goki backed the dump truck into his privately owned vehicle, causing damage. By the way, that's why there's a dump truck. So, woo. Come on. Okay, there's this pause button that doesn't actually pause.
It does not want to pause.
Look at that. There we go. Oh, look, it still hasn't paused.
And if you click it too much, you might pause it and unpause it.
It'll zoom and fill the whole screen. So the city denied the claim, of course, for obvious reasons. You can't sue yourself. So thinking that she was clever or something, Rhonda Goki decided to file another claim, but this time the claim would just have her name and not her husband's. Her reasoning was that the city denied her husband's claim because he's the one that caused the accident. Putting her name on a new claim would eliminate her husband's alleged conflict of interest, as the Lodi News described. She also increased the damage amount to $4,800, saying, I have the right to sue the city because a city's vehicle damaged my private vehicle. She continued almost threateningly. I'm not as nice as my husband is. I'm entitled to replace a vehicle and insurance for the vehicle. Okay, lady, is what the author says. Yeah, it's almost like pat on the head. Yeah, pat.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sue your spouse for divorce, but you can't sue your spouse for negligence. They're a married couple under California law. They're one entity. It's damage to community property. So they say here, where is the thing? They say that they sued the city. He even admitted to the city that the accident was his fault, yet he still filed the claim. Let me reiterate that if you didn't catch what's happening here. This man backed into his own vehicle with a city truck that he was driving and expected the city to foot the bill for the damage. Interesting.
That's creative.
Yeah. I mean, talk about shooting yourself in the foot and then expecting somebody else to pay for it. Come on now.
I'm sure that's been tried too.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Let's keep going. So this next article is over in Warcrafters. It's one of our newest. Go check it out. Podcast. You can download 4 episodes. There's going to be a 5th one this weekend. So Take-Two wins lawsuit over LeBron James's tattoos. The battle over LeBron James's tattoo. A sentence I never thought I'd ever in a million years say. I'm going to go straight on over to Polygon.com. Nicole Carpenter put the article together. The deck statement says the battle over LeBron James's tattoos has been ongoing since 2017 and longer with other tattoo artists. So a jury voted unanimously on Friday in favor of Take-Two Interactive Software and rejected tattoo artist Jimmy Hayden's claims that the video game maker violated copyrights when creating Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James in the NBA 2K series, a series of games where you play as various professional athletes in basketball, because it's NBA, not, Major League Hockey or...
Oh, I think that's going to come up again,
So after a week in Ohio court, the Ohio court, I'm sure that there's a trademark there, the jury determined Take-Two has an implied license to create James's tattoos, something that was extended to the game maker from James's agreement with the company. That's what I would assume as well, because there is no... If I pay for a work, it isn't licensed to me. It's a work for hire. It's installed on my arm and you cannot recall it. I cannot sell it to somebody else either, but I can license its likeness in digital form. This tattoo is mine, not the artist's.
Right, and I'm assuming that the game somehow had rights to the person's likeness, right? So that was considered like part of the person.
Yeah, so Take-Two, basically they scanned LeBron James, created a 3D model of him, of his skin, and wrapped a 3D model with LeBron James's digital persona. But this artist, Jimmy Hayden, says, I want a piece of the action because you used my artwork in your... First off, nobody is paying for NBA 2K so that they can see your tattoo artwork. The reason why it's even famous to this level is because it's attached to LeBron James.
That is true. If it was on 99% of people,
yeah. So if any
wouldn't be getting this attention. Well, and of course it wouldn't be in a game. But...
So to me, if anybody's chasing clout, hey, look at this. So no, it would be like trying to go after somebody because the birthmark on their arm looks oddly familiar.
I was thinking like a hairstylist or a barber or something.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, the only reason why somebody would actually rail against artwork on a shirt or something like that is because the brand is something that is identifiable, and maybe they don't want that artwork shown in the wrong context, in the wrong light. Or the artist says, no, not even then. I mean, it's all incidental. Usually it's the person who creates the photograph that says, I don't want that mark in my photograph, and they edit it out. They blur it. It's the same thing with brands in media. They put a sticker on the Apple logo, for instance. Or they create some non-functioning, non-entity kind of a thing instead of using some known brand. So Hayden was originally suing over 6 tattoos he created for James, but U.S. District Judge Christopher Boyko ruled against the artist in early 2024, saying Hayden could only sue over 2 of the 6, a tattoo of stars and another of James's mother's name, Gloria. I'm not even sure why he should be allowed to sue over 2.
No, and I want to know what the 4 were that couldn't be sued over.
Yeah, were they too generic? It's weird.
Well, I don't know. Stars, for example, is kind of surprising. But again, being able to be sued over it and being able to win are different things. But
I mean, they're basically saying that the digital representation... Look, without the tattoos, it isn't that athlete.
I want to see. It doesn't show.
So Tucker told jurors that Hayden has been compensated for his use of his tattoos, even on James, by other companies like Warner Brothers with Space Jam 2. He got $1,500 for that use. Which probably was just a consolation, like, okay, whatever, just get out of here. For Take-Two, attorney Dale Candali said that Hayden got paid only after filing the lawsuit, and that James's tattoos are a very small part of NBA 2K. That's my take on it. A ruling in Hayden's favor would mean James would have to ask Hayden permission to license his very own being, again, which is what I say. Take-Two didn't need permission because Mr. James already gave Take-Two permission, Candali said. That's exactly what this case is about. The whole point is Mr. James's ability to license his likeness. This case affects Mr. James much more than Take-Two. Yeah.
None of that makes any sense to me because I did check and there was another article that talked about his other tattoos. And for instance, one had a portrait of family members. Mm-hmm. A lot of them were words. Like they weren't clearly things that were like somebody else's trademark or something. I mean, not that that necessarily relates to a tattoo, but there wasn't anything that clearly distinguished these two for me from the other ones.
Yeah, and they're really specific. I mean, like you said about trademark, that's kind of what they're implying here. The issue at stake is whether a tattoo artist can copyright art that they've given an implied license, i.e. putting something permanently on somebody's body. Sure, a sketch or design may be able to be copyrighted, but once it's on another person, whose is it? It's a work for hire. I am literally paying somebody by the hour to put my artwork, the one that I've agreed to pay for, on my body.
Well, and what would the alternative be? I mean, that wouldn't even
You got to laser it off.
like you. Well, right. I mean, it's absolutely
Yeah. And
ridiculous.
in the art,
So I mean,
in the game, they would have to delete the art.
oh, that's true. But I mean, for the actual tattoo, like let's say somebody had a problem with the tattoo being on there. I mean, that would be really outrageous. I mean, I know this is not the issue, but I
Well, I
could see
mean,
that being the next issue.
right. Like, where does this end? For Hayden's side, it's a trademark issue. For Take-Two says, but Take-Two says a win in Hayden's favor makes this a serious issue of ownership of licensing one's likeness, because if there's an incidental piece of artwork on me, then suddenly I have to go out and get permission.
Oh, that's true, right? Like he could never. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it from that way.
Yeah, if I'm an actor, if I'm a model, if my likeness is being used in marketing for a product or service, I would have to go and get individual permissions for each artwork, or I'd have to butter myself up in makeup to cover it. And then I lose my identity. You know, my tattoos are part of me. People who know me know about my tattoos, the ones that are visible. Anyway, it says this isn't the first time a video game company has been sued over an athlete's tattoos, not even the first time for Take-Two. A company called Solid Oak Sketches sued Take-Two in 2016 over James's tattoos, as well as tattoos on Kobe Bryant, DeAndre Jordan, Eric Bledsoe, Kenyon Martin. Solid Oak Sketches said it had licensing agreements for the tattoos. Take-Two won the lawsuit in 2020 after a judge declared the tattoos fair use. On the flip side, Take-Two lost the lawsuit in 2022 filed by tattoo artist Catherine Alexander, who inked 5 tattoos on WWE wrestler Randy Orton. She filed in 2018 after those designs showed up on Orton in WWE 2K games and ultimately received $3,750 in damages. So it's not a huge win, but up from $450, she said WD originally and unsuccessfully offered her for licensing. So here's what I suggest everybody do now. I'm going to pay the artist, but before I pay the artist and actually have the work done, they have to sign that this is assigned to me and can never be rescinded. There's total bargaining power there. There's total agreement, a meeting of the minds. The contract can be solid. They sign it. I sign it. I give them a copy of it. Nobody can ever mess with it because I am assigned the rights. Now, here's the weird thing about copyright. Essentially, they can always be revoked. Those licensing, the granting of the rights can always be revoked. But on the flip side, if you violate the contract, I can sue you. And so this seems absurd because they were compensated for the artwork and nobody gives a shit about the artwork when it's on the athlete. Other than, hey, that's a neat looking tattoo. It doesn't add to their prowess on the court. It doesn't make them a better or worse person. It is a part of their identity because they found meaning in something you were paid to do. And in some cases, richly paid to do. Yeah.
You know,
Anyway,
I mean, I guess if you're not somebody who's a celebrity, you probably don't run into this, but it is interesting. The other thing is, I feel like the tattoo artists here are harming their own businesses because,
yeah, I would
sure, well, they're
never go
probably
there.
getting some, right, like they're getting some publicity temporarily, right, because of this. Like, oh, you're the artist who did these tattoos for fill in the blank. But
Yeah.
yeah, why would you go knowing
That
that
this can come back
they
and
were
bite you in
likely
the
to do
ass.
this? Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if you got it 10 years ago and you had no idea, and then they did this after the games.
Yeah, but
or
it's the
featuring various celebrities. But
72 years plus the lifetime of the artist. So they
I know,
can
I just mean
you
if you
can
went to
become
the
famous.
tattoo artist well
Yeah.
before they ever
Yeah.
took action. But yeah.
And well before you became famous.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly
Oh,
you're
right.
famous. The licensing would have changed anyway because the context of your existence changed. This is
Oh, I know.
asinine. This should be like a federal law. If somebody puts a tattoo on your butt, it cannot have a copyright assigned to it.
I think they're going to have to come out with something like that. I mean, this is a step toward that, but I think something more explicit because again, what how would you solve this?
Yeah, the straightest line to solution here is to invalidate any copyright claim made on a human being. You can't own a human being. You can't own the artwork. Copyright the drawing. Copyright the prints. But if this was something that was contracted by LeBron James, man, that's him. It isn't separate art. It's bound to him. The only way to take it off him is either to cut it off or to laser it off, which is excruciating and time consuming and way more expensive than $3,500 at the end of the day. God, this actually gets under my skin, much like a tattoo. So let's go on to the next article. So this next article is over in ohmTown Daily. LOL, no, is the perfect response to LAPD's nonsense IP threat letter over the F the LAPD shirt. Now, the moment I saw this, I knew that it came from Tech Dirt because they kind of speak like I do. So maybe they're my, what do you want to call it?
Oh, like spirit animal?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
not sure
spirit
that's it,
animal,
but
but
yeah.
it's more like my what do you call that? Doggone it, my print spirit animal, whatever. Anyway, so it says we've had plenty of posts discussing all manner of behavior from the LAPD and or LAPD union here at Tech Dirt. As you might imagine, if you're a regular reader here, the majority of these posts haven't exactly involved fawning praise for the supposed crime fighters. In fact, if you went on a reading blitz of these posts, you might even come away thinking, you know what? F the LAPD. Well, if you wanted to display your sentiments while you went about your day, you might go over to Cola Corporation's website and buy one particular shirt. It's the Cola Corporation, which almost seems like it wants to pick a fight with Coca-Cola.
Exactly.
But cola is a generic term. It's not Coca-Cola. But let's go over to Tech Dirt. So, okay, well, this one's not going to get any.
This is why I said the basketball is coming back.
Oh, you must have looked at this a little bit.
I did because I just was curious what it was about.
What's going to end up, yeah. So here, because I know that I'm not going to be able to promote this, Timothy Gaynor and Mike Masnick put the article together over at Tech Dirt, and I love this. So go over and check it all out. You get a shirt that says.
But wait.
What?
Who should be suing here, if anybody?
Well, I
look at
assume,
the logo.
Well, there's and barring trademark issues, yeah, because it's like the Lakers or something.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of things where somebody could pick a fight, but guess who picked the fight? So it says it was the LA Police Foundation via its IMG representatives. The LAPF is something of a shadow financier of the LAPD department for equipment, including all manner of tech and gear. And we have no idea how the entertainment agency like IMG got in bed with these ass bags, whatever. But it was IMG that sent the threat letter that you can see below, chock full of all kinds of claims to rights that the LAPF absolutely does not and could not have, even as they assigned. I mean, yeah, it's not the logo for the LAPD. It's not the logo for the Lakers. it's, yeah, I don't know. It's some semblance therein, but it isn't confusingly similar. I'm not an attorney, so it's my it's my interpretation, and I'm not giving anybody legal advice here. And normally, what I say is I'm not an attorney, so go talk to an attorney. But a lot of this is stuff that I brush up against over many years, several times, because somebody will think along the lines of the LAPD that something is theirs, and it's just tacitly not. So in this, they say they're writing on behalf of IMG Worldwide, authorized representative of the Los Angeles Police Foundation. This says F the LAPD. So it says that the Los Angeles Police Department uniform, LAPD motto, to protect and serve, and the word LAPD as an acronym abbreviated for the LAPD Police Department. That's all of that does not equal that. You cannot protect just 4 letters.
Unless you're the.
Well, I mean, it has to be that embodiment, just random 4 letters. It has to be also a unique thing and not an acronym. I don't know. There's a lot to it. So through extensive advertising, promotion, and the substantial sale of a full range of licensed products embodying and pertaining to the LAPD IP, the LAPD IP has become famous throughout the world. I don't know if it's promotion, but okay. So basically,
I think if you asked 10 people that didn't live in LA, they probably wouldn't know.
They wouldn't care, yeah. And they wouldn't care. I don't know, world famous, I would probably... You're world famous because of the infamy of the mark, not because you are famous. You are more than famous. You are infamous for being the LAPD. So if you can see that, it's a letter sent by Andrew Schmidt, who represents himself as the senior counsel to IMG Worldwide, saying and then they say where to begin. For starters, note how the letter breezily asserts copyright, trademark, and other licensed indicia. Really, you have other things that are indicated as a mark for you. Oh, do you? How nebulous. Much like the smoke that you're blowing up my ass, I suppose. It's as if it's a copyright play that the LAPF is trying to make. It's going to go absolutely nowhere. The use is made for the purposes of parody and political commentary, which pretty much invalidates the whole thing as a claim of a violation, because parody and political commentary is protected speech, First Amendment rights. If you want to end up in the Supreme Court, keep chasing this. Man.
This is just an odd one. I don't know. And I really don't get these letters that are like full of all these empty threats, or they're not backed by actual rights or facts, or because this is not the first one of these we've seen.
Okay, so I wish that... Okay, this is actually a legit response. Instead of basically using Cola Corporation's own legal team to send some silly threat letter, they say, outlining all of the above, which is described up above. You'll have to follow the link. They brought on a former Tech Dirt podcast guest, lawyer Mike Dunford, who crafted something that is ultimately even better. And so remember the initial title of this? No.
Mm-hmm.
That's the official response right there. LOL, no.
That's funny.
Yeah. You are missing... It says if you can't read that, you're not missing much. It says LOL, no. You're missing a lot. This is a $400 letter.
Right, that's quite a price per letter or per word.
That's this is poetic. I mean, this is even constructive criticism. Hey, all of this? No. So I dig this site. It just has my spirit to it. So I wholeheartedly recommend people go over and check out Tech Dirt. They're always fun to read. Okay, let's keep going though. I've been soapboxing on a lot of these articles because they're a lot of fun to talk about. But I know that I'm trying to keep this into 1 hour like usual, but sometimes it ends up being a little bit longer. So the next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Tesla Cybertruck slippery pedal recall caused by soap. The last thing...
doesn't that make you think that somebody just dropped some soap on it and then they called it in or something?
Well, you're washing your car. You get soap on your shoes. You jump in your Tesla, and there's a problem with the pedal. Apparently, there are other things too involving water. You drive through a car wash, and it's not in the proper mode, and it shits the bed. There was somebody told me that a gas pedal fell off while they were driving, and one was stuck, and it would accelerate, and even when you tried to stop it, it would accelerate. Like you'd stop
really
it,
dangerous.
and when you take your foot off the brake, it would accelerate again. But I'm not sure. I haven't actually gone looking for those yet. But this article is about the Tesla Cybertruck slippery pedal recall caused by soap. Tesla issued a recall for every single Cybertruck built thus far, as well as a stop sale that lasted nearly a week, and it's something that can't be solved with over-the-air updates. That's because it's a physical problem. Apparently, assembly line workers used slippery soap to get the truck's throttle pedal pad into play. My God, I can't say this sentence. Apparently, assembly line workers used slippery soap to get the truck's throttle pedal pad onto the pedal, and there was leftover soap.
So that needs to be the new replacement for some traditional tongue twisters.
My goodness. You have to be savant to actually nail that. English majors everywhere that know public speaking and have been speaking for 30 years probably slip into a coma when they try and read that sentence. I'll be okay. So Bradley Brunell over at jalopnik.com put the article together. The deck statement says this one simple trick caused Tesla's 7,000-pound trucks to accelerate unintentionally. So that's what this is.
Oh, I didn't know that was related.
Yeah, interesting. So apparently assembly line workers use slippery soap to get the truck's throttle pedal pad onto the pedal, and leftover soap was causing the pad to slip off and get stuck at wide open throttle. That was the full sentence.
I mean, this almost seems like a cartoon episode for that part of it.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. But they say they basically reiterated what I had heard. And then they say, thankfully the truck cuts acceleration when you hit the brake pedal, so hopefully there weren't any injuries caused by a result of the issue. Except that I was told that when you lift your foot off the brake, if the accelerator is still stuck down, then it takes off again. But I don't know. Maybe if you're a Tesla driver out there, well, a Cybertruck driver out there, and you haven't gone through a car wash, or a brisk rain. So in the Time Machine episode that you weren't available for because you were off on a mission, what's the difference between torrential rain that you might get in, say, Florida, and a car wash that you drive through?
I would say none from the car's standpoint.
Right? It's just a bunch of water. Yes, there's brushes that are rubbing up against it and whatnot, but why would a moist car become a brick for all day and have to do a hard reset of the operating system remote?
I don't know. And when I saw that headline, I didn't think about weather Because it's concerning enough with the car wash, but you're right. How is a vehicle that's supposed to be obviously outdoors not able to withstand heavy rain?
Yeah.
And why does that cause that either?
And and why does soapy water cause an accelerator pedal to get stuck? Well, we know why. It's because it slipped off, but they say an unapproved change introduced lubricant, soap, to aid in the component assembly of the pad onto the accelerator pedal. Residual
You
lubricant
know,
reduced the retention of the pad to the pedal.
when you're building something, you might need to use some materials that might facilitate that. So it seems like that was kind of foreseeable.
Yeah, see, but my problem with that is you really don't want people taking the initiative because it can create quite a fuss later on. And theoretically, all of the items that are used in the building of these vehicles are tested during the initial ramp up to production level. So you know
That's
exactly how to
true,
make
but
it every
maybe
time.
they didn't actually build it when they were testing it. It also reminds me of the thing we're hearing with Boeing, where people were jumping up and down to get plane parts
Yeah,
to
yeah,
attach.
yeah. That is
That probably wasn't in the manual.
right. That's an unauthorized modification to the workflow. Yeah, that's frowned upon by the muckety mucks. But it gets the job done and people paid. But what should have happened, and probably was happening in all of these cases, the people doing the grunt work told the people who were the boss, hey, we can't get this shit done right. We're jumping up on a wing, or we're sitting there licking and sticking pedals to accelerator mounts.
Hopefully, it's not like the envelopes in Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah. 15 people died. Let's keep going. The next article is someone who didn't win the lottery for brains either. Rounders Gear is where it was aggregated to. Florida couple tried to pass off inept forgery as $1 million lottery ticket. These
Okay,
two
I'm interested to see how I don't know the specifics on this one.
grand theft of more than $100,000. Two people. Her partner, Dakota Jones, Kira Lee Enders, in their 30s, been arrested for the same three charges, a crudely laminated lottery ticket. So it's over at casino.org. Philip Conneller is the author. It's one of those $50 tickets, and it says they probably spent their last $50 on it, which is kind of sad. I mean, all of this is really sad. But then you don't try to. There's a whole thing here, folks. There's more than one way for them to verify the identity of the original ticket. And they're not going to give you $1 million if it's not absolutely correct.
So did they basically modify part of it, but not all of it?
So Enders arrived at the Florida Lottery office in Pensacola on March 1st to present the ticket, having been driven there by Jones. Each of those tickets were ripped horizontally and then carefully pieced together to become one fraudulently altered ticket using the top half of one. They learned how to do this by eating different colored gummy bears.
That does not say that in the article.
No, it does not say that. So they used the top half of one ticket, the bottom half of another ticket, tried to laminate it together in some way. That fraudulently altered the ticket now visually shows that it is a $1 million prize winner. So inept was the forgery that some of the words on the back of the ticket failed to match up. Nevertheless, Enders continued to insist that it was a genuine winner and signed acknowledgments on the winner claim related to the criminal consequences of submitting a fraudulent ticket. Yeah. And then they had conflicting stories. So congratulations, you are now a felon.
I guess I was thinking it was going to be something like it says top prize, like, $100 or something. And then they're like, it shows $1 million as our, you know what I mean? Like they didn't really read the ticket or something. But this is interesting with being taped together.
They cut it right there and then tried to stitch it together. with glue or something. So stupid. Just no. Oh my goodness. So I didn't actually open these up. So anyway, let's go on to the next article. This one, doink. We'll do these faster. A plane used to fly VIPs like King Charles made an emergency landing after window panes fell off. The article is over at Business Insider. Michaela Friel and Taylor Rains put the article together. A Titan Airways flight had to do a U-turn due to missing and damaged windows. Jeez. It was an Airbus
but it's not
plane.
Boeing.
Yeah, I guess a win. Congratulations, your stock just went up a little bit, Boeing. Yeah, so the Titan Airways flight traveling from London to Orlando in October had to U-turn after departing. Wow, they were flying to Orlando.
Without windows?
They would have if the windows would have opened up at 30,000 feet. Passengers had also noticed the plane was noisier and colder than usual. The full extent of the damage wasn't known until the plane landed. 3 of the window panes had fallen off, and impact damage was noticeable on the tail. Jeez.
Okay, wait a second. That means that went over the ocean without windows, essentially.
Well, it turned around and went back. It landed before it went up to cruising altitude.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that.
Yeah, there were only 9 passengers on board and 11 crew. None of them were injured. Apparently, 2 of the window panes were completely removed, while a third window was missing the inner pane and a rubber seal, and a 4th window was damaged. What the hell is going on with maintenance?
I don't know. And why is it all planes and then all boats and
and then trains?
It's very weird.
And, right, but it's exactly. All shit
trains
everywhere.
First.
Trains, cars, planes, ships. And you know what? All of these are making record profits instead of reinvesting the money into paying the people to keep everybody safe. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be greater taxes on these people so that greater oversight can be performed, because if you're not going to do it yourself, somebody has to. So it says lights used to convey the sunrise had been aimed at the windows for several hours at a time, the report said. They had a combined capacity of 72,000 watts, which is more than 700 times more powerful than a standard light bulb. They identified the cause, but we've actually seen this before. This was the same excuse used for something that flew out of out of San Francisco, that there was intense light on the window and the window had fallen out.
What about the sun?
Yeah, essentially, doesn't make any sense. So these outer windows were actually gone. This one partially, I guess, displaced inner seal.
Okay, now you have to add that to your weird questions to ask when you fly.
Yeah.
Has this plane recently been filmed in a commercial?
Good God. We are so screwed. Okay, the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Toxic chemicals in everyday products enter the human body via touch. So toxic PBDE chemicals were found to be absorbed into the skin from microplastics rapidly. I just talked about it in the Time Machine episode.
In the Time Machine episode? Mm-hmm.
Not this, though. I was just saying that there was somebody that was complaining about something, and I said, I'm against microplastic or plastics because of microplastics, but I guess I'll take microplastics over forever chemicals, and now forever chemicals.
Oh, wow. Are tied together.
Yeah. Anyway, with sweaty skin absorbing more than dry skin. So when you click this link, you get taken over to the source, and Jess Thompson from Newsweek is the author. I'm going to pause this or close it. They are flame retardant chemicals such as polybrominated diphenyl ethers, which we've actually talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
are found in many everyday items ranging from furniture and fabrics to plastics and electronics. According to the new paper in the journal Environment International, these potentially cancer-causing chemicals can be absorbed through the skin from microplastics in as little as 24 hours entering the bloodstream. Yeah.
Yay.
So they may be contained in microplastics that shear off of the materials. Microplastics are minuscule chunks of plastic less than 5 millimeters or 0.2 inches long, and are found in our drinking water and the air, even inside our bodies. We here at ohmTown have been talking about this for the last 3 years. And I've been moving away from consuming food in plastics, except that you can't get away from it. You have to minimize your
It's
risk.
everywhere.
I've got a Gatorade bottle sitting next to me that is in a plastic bottle. It's been like that for I don't know how long before it gets to me, and then I can pour it into an aluminum container, stainless steel container, glass container. But by that time, there's microplastics probably already pervading that or chemical off-gassing into it, and I can't do anything about that. Well, I can switch to drinking water, but then when you go and look into the source of water, there's microplastics that are being exfiltrated
Like
from the
from the
source
tubing
lines.
or whatever
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
water. Exactly.
So, AI, you got to get out of my head. So in the paper, researchers describe how they use 3D printed skin model to test how fast these toxic chemicals could be absorbed into or from microplastics, and found that it can be taken into the bloodstream in as little as 24 hours. This kind of conversation, this kind of news really gets me motivated to get that variable light microscope
Mm-hmm.
equipment so that I can show people just what this really is. They found up to 8% of PBDEs on microplastics were absorbed into the skin, and 0.1% of that amount had entered the bloodstream after 24 hours. So how much of 1.1% would lead possibly to cancer?
Exactly. I mean, it might
Don't know.
be
100%
just a
chance.
tiny amount would get there.
Yep.
Well, I guess I'm thinking like a tiny amount might be required, but yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
but it could be 100% that enters could cause it, for instance.
And then in an amazing form, they use the word myriads, but I'm not sure why they're using it with myriads, plural. Anyway, unfortunately,
Yeah,
there are
that doesn't make
myriad.
sense.
There is a there are myriads of toxic additive chemicals ranging from plasticizers to stabilizers in microplastics, some of which are not regulated, that can potentially find their way into the human system. And if you've ever spent any time here in ohmTown, you know that we've already talked about this quite a bit. We're finding microplastics pervasive through the human body, in our pets, in our food, before we even consume it, and then afterward. It actually penetrates into the cell walls, into the actual tissues, and migrates around the body until it ensconces itself into some spot. But they've found it in the brain, they've found it in lungs, they've found it in muscle tissue. It's a
Well,
thing.
and places like the brain should not have been breached, essentially, right?
Right.
Because of the blood-brain
Blood-brain
barrier. But
yeah.
the fact that it's there is really alarming.
Yeah.
In other places where it should be near impossible to get to.
Yeah, like inside my body. Stay the hell out of my body. All right, let's keep going though. The last article for tonight is here in Warcrafters. Meet the guy who spent $90,000 on one of the rarest copies of Castlevania in the world. I titled this one The King of Castlevania. So Tom Curtin had just secured the video game of his dreams, a factory-sealed first-run copy of Konami's original 1986 Castlevania for NES, with a rare hang tab on the back of the box. Somebody had that in storage somewhere. There are only 6 currently known to exist, and Curtin, together with his childhood friend, just paid over $90,000.
That's a bit ridiculous, but I guess if you're a super fan, maybe.
Yeah, so the article is over at Kotaku.com. The article's author is Ethan Gash, or Gach. I'm not sure how to pronounce their last name, but it's Gach. Send me an email, mayor@ohmTown.com. Let me know. And I will never make that mistake again. So, a mysterious trove of vintage video games has collectors buzzing. So, this is like mint with the hang tag, still shrink wrapped. Not aftermarket shrink wrap either, because back in the day, people would take software home and play with it and then use a shrink wrap machine to shrink wrap it again and then bring it back. And there was a charge if you returned it opened, but not a charge if it was still shrink wrapped. But we always knew when somebody did that because it's a different type of shrink wrap. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
It says there's only 6 currently known to exist, and Curtin, together with their childhood friend, just paid $90,000. This could lead to disillusion of friendship. I'm telling you. You know, who's going to have it on the shelf this week? Anyway, now he had to transport it back from Texas to their hometown in the Northeast. It just says in the Northeast. So they said there's a quote here. I do have friends who literally, just like Mission Impossible, have the Pelican case with the handcuffs, Tom Curtin, a longtime collector of vintage video games, told me in a recent telephone interview. All right. So apparently a mystery trove of some of the rarest games in existence cropped up from the Lone Star State and took the collector world by storm. CGC grader Joseph Ross named it the Dallas Fort Worth Collection. What do they should have called it a hoard, but maybe that's only with like jewelry and gems and gold.
Right, but that would have been neat for gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So due to the incredible condition and significance of the games included, from a sticker sealed copy of Urban Champion, an early NES fighting game, to a mint condition first print of Metroid, the first entry in Nintendo's beloved Alien platformer series. So while common for high-end collectibles to circulate in private between collectors, it's much rarer for them to come to market from a previous unknown source. So somebody found these somewhere, and it says like an estate sale or something like that when somebody passes away. Sometimes it just gets sold. Pretty interesting, right? So I won't get. So they say a Castlevania heist decades in the making. He told Kotaku he wasn't initially planning to take a swing at it, speculating a bidding war could send the final price well into 6 figures. His friend helped convince him otherwise, not a collector himself. Curtin's enthusiasm must have rubbed off on him. They would go in on the purchase together. He asked me for a ton of questions, of course, because that is a ridiculous amount of money. Curtin said, I don't want to be lost here. We're not what I would consider rich, you know. I think that we do well, but I wouldn't say we're rich.
Okay. You know, I think most people spending that amount on this, they might be in that category. They might be in serious debt.
Yeah. So while the splashiest near $1 million retro game sales in recent years have been arranged by Heritage Auctions, longtime collectors have been navigating eBay for valuable hauls for years. Curtin said that that was how he originally got into vintage game collecting, scooping up sealed copies of games from local stores and flipping them online. He made waves back in 2012 when he sold a prototype of The Legend of Zelda for $55,000 on eBay. Ta-da. That's it right there. One of two, a piece of a two-of-a-kind sealed copy of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So 95.
I wonder why it's two of a kind.
because there's probably a second one in a shelf right next to this one. Everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Curtains Grail Castlevania ended up with a 9.4 A+ rating, and some already think that he could resell it. Curious to see the future of this piece. Collector Frank Grail Monster Giramita, who Kotaku, who has interviewed them previously about rare Funko Pops, posted on Instagram. After Curtin outbid him in the eBay auction, it's a $250,000 flip, in my opinion. To my knowledge, this is the most a Raw game has ever sold for. All right. I don't know. There's a lot more to this article, but you'll be able to go over to Kotaku and read more about it. Dun, dun, dun. So, okay, everybody, back into the party bus, and let's look. It was $27.87.
That's quite a markup.
Yeah. Okay. Into the party bus, we race down Main Street, and I'm just going to mash the button. Might as well. Let's see what happens. It's fairly safe. Oh, look at that. Anyway, I still won't be able to. Well, thank you very much for hanging out in chat. Be sure to follow us here on twitch.tv/ohmTown. Go over to YouTube and watch and subscribe and download the podcast. And we have a Patreon, and we have a Discord, and we have a TikTok. One of these days, I'll start picking up the TikTok stuff, probably just in time for it to get banned in the United States. Because I kid you not, when I started doing TikTok again is when the talk ramped up that it was going to be blocked in the United States, which I think is really
They must have known.
Yeah, cooler. I am what I think that blocking TikTok is the antithesis of America, and it will be used as fuel on the fire to call the United States the home of hypocrisy. So enough of that soapbox. Let's get out of here. I am Mayor Watt, and all around me is the sentient AI.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for tuning in for ohmTown Daily. We will see you tomorrow at approximately 5 p.m. Eastern.
You got it. See you then. Bye-bye. I'm off to rip the shrink wrap off this Castlevania mint conditioned box. Whew, it's going to be fun playing that all retro game stuff.